History Book of Dinosaurs.
Hello everybody, I am USS History, and welcome to the freshest episode of History Book of Dinosaurs. Today we're going to be covering a war, kind of like the first episode, except it happened a few decades apart, because this time we are covering the First World War. The World War that started a lot of inventions from being used mainstreamly. Rather, some of the most infamous being the main battle tank and the submarine. But we'll get to that later. Now, imagine this. It's 1914. You are the Archduke Ferdinand, just driving around towns in your country. The amount of assassination attempts that failed miserably is just yes. Main reason? Either they had bad aim or flew at the wrong time. One of them even hit an officer. A full-blown officer. Now, on their way driving elsewhere after they went hiding, they took a wrong turn. And the schmuck that had missed a shot earlier looked at them, whipped out his weapon of choice, which was probably a revolver, and shot him at point-blank range. He was killed on the spot. He was killed on sight. More than likely dead either moments or minutes. Heck, maybe even hours after he was shot, based on what happened to Abraham Lincoln. But this resulted in fury across Europe. Austria-Hungary was absolutely mad, which, friendly reminder, the Ottoman Empire had been decimated in the Baltic area during the Baltic War, first and second, and basically were crippled. Austria-Hungary was already crippling on its own with its failing empire. So, they declared war on Serbia. Then Russia got mad at Austria-Hungary for declaring war on Serbia, so they declared war on Austria-Hungary. Then Germany decided to declare war on Russia for declaring war on Austria-Hungary for declaring war on Serbia. And then France declared war on Germany for declaring war on Russia for declaring war on Austria-Hungary for declaring war on Serbia. And then Britain joined because, well, they were allies. Now, Bulgaria and Ottoman Empire, along with Italy, also joined. However, throw Italy out of the picture. They switched sides. I swear, they're like black and white. They keep changing sides. Anyways, now the wars started. Germany has made a absolutely cool plan that says basically pull two middle fingers on France and Russia to win the war. Basically, beat the living crud out of France and invade them, and then beat the crud out of Russia, and boom, war won. However, they forgot one thing. Their allies are about as competent as goldfish. Not very much. It's like going into the group project with that one dumb kid. Which, trust me, sometimes I was that dumb kid despite my knowledge. However, the British were cooking up something crazy in their front. You see, they had built this little prototype called Little Willie. Now, we must move into a more crazy subject. The British were developing something that they codenamed a tank, and the Germans assumed, well, it can't be that bad. It's probably just storing water. Next thing you know, they see a tank. Next thing you know, they see a caterpillar-tracked, moving, gun-wielding, shooting machine, which is called the tank. This one is called the Mark IV tank. The first British tank to enter service, and one of the few to enter the war. The Char II C, made by the French, and its other tank that was smaller, had a weaker gun, and the first tank to have a fully 360 turret. And I don't think it went into war, actually. The Char II C couldn't enter war because its firm was for 1919 instead of 1918. The Germans made the A7V. No, not the Leopard 2 variant. The A7V tank. It had machine guns, bigger gun. Oh yeah, and paper thin armor. Actually, all World War I tanks had thin armor. Their guns were mainly to punch the front in France, which it did. Now, let's actually talk about what was going on the ocean front. America was sending weaponry such as, good old 8 high explosive rounds for their artillery weaponry, sniper rounds for their sniper rifles, and other various weaponries. However, there's a wee bit of a problem. It's a big one too. The Germans are using their newest technology, the U-boat. Now, Well, this technology isn't really old since the Hunley, owned by the Confederate States of America, during the Civil War destroyed one ship, but sank 3 times. It was actually recovered in the early 90s, but it sank a whole ship. One ship. KD ratio of 3 to 1 is not really good at all. But let's move on. The U-boats sank various ships, one of which being the Lusitania, which had a few hundred Americans on board, which made the Americans really consider no longer being neutral. Also, Japan stole a few islands from the Germans in the Pacific. The British like that. In fact, all the Allies like that. And then there's Italy. Britain told them they would give them some land, and Italy signed that treaty away like it was no tomorrow. Austria-Hungary was rapidly collapsing thanks to its breaking country throughout the war. It was slowly collapsing. The Ottoman Empire joined a wee bit late but fought to the bitter end. They eventually collapsed into the modern-day Turkey Republic. However, now, it's 1918. The Germans are attempting to pump out weapons, but they're literally getting war drawn thin. And in early November of 1918, the war had ended at 11 a.m. Somebody probably died like moments before. Would suck too. But in the Treaty of Versailles, instead of, blaming Serbia and ruining them, but they were on the Allied side, so you can't really, say, we can't punish our friend, so we're gonna punish you, Germany. Because, well, they can't really punish Austria since they're, how many pieces are on the Titanic? What was it? Oh, yeah, 9,000 pieces. The Ottoman Empire is broken. Bulgaria, everybody forgot about Bulgaria, so nothing happened. And they figured out a way to what to do with the broken areas of Austria-Hungary. They sent any areas that are remotely Polish to the new Poland Republic, ranked the Czechia and Slovakian areas into the Czechoslovakian, add all the Serbian and other various areas there. Romania turns into existence. Oh, and how can I forget it? What they did to Germany. Aside from the Austrian-Hungarian areas, which became their own independent nations, Germany was done the dirtiest card, being accused of causing the war. All their East Prussian lands that were given to Poland were absolutely sucked up like a vacuum. Kaliningrad was still owned by them, amazingly. However, that wouldn't last much longer thanks to the Russians, but oh well. All their colonies were immediately given to the Allies. Well, the ones that had colonies in Africa, because, fun fact, America did not have colonies in Africa. Don't know why, but, I guess ruling over the Pacific's more important, I guess. But, the worst thing of all? Germany was forced to pay billions of debts they couldn't pay, and you want to know why that Austrian painter got elected? It's because he said he would do change that would make the country better. Yeah, that's why the country went into shambles. It's because the Allied powers, called the Entry, were literally pulling a middle finger on the Germans. Also, Italia didn't get the land that they wanted. Russia straight up collapsed and turned into the USSR. Well, I've always put this. Germany had a crumbling economy, and worse, Ottoman Empire was crumbled, the Austrian-Hungarian Empire straight up disintegrated into oblivion, Russia's decimated, there are a lot of Baltic areas, Finland is into existence, many areas are also into creating, but now there's another problem. How do we make sure the Germans don't uprise again? Why? Make their military weak, of course. They reduce it down to 100,000 men, no Air Force, no Navy, no Air Force, weak Navy, no tanks. Yeah, they said no tanks. Yeah, and guess who was part of the war? A small, short little man named...
Stop. Wait a minute. We're not doing that today. Hold on, you're going to have to wait till talking about that for the next episode. We agreed on that. Anyways, if you guys want to hear about World War II, that video should be coming somewhat soon. And, yeah, you're going to have to wait for this, because, again, we're not supposed to talk about that in this episode. But, again, you'll have to wait for next week, and we might actually have a special guest. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video so far. We're going to continue back since we're not supposed to talk about World War II yet. Just need to make a little pause. Anyways, catch us next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Now, let's talk about the fatal ships that lost during this war. A lot of them were lost. Many to U-boats, many to landmines, many to just sad accidents. However, one thing that the Germans learned after the First World War, you know the old saying, don't mess with America's boats? Yeah, they learned that the hard way. America joined in 1917. Very late, but The tides of war have already turned, so they were just back up. Now, the many ships that were lost included Titanic's rescue ship, the RMS Carpathia in 1918. After getting 3 torpedoes absolutely yeeted into its hull, resulting in a sinking. There were only a few casualties from a boiler room because, torpedo explosion made people go dead. Yeah, U-boats sank the Carpathia, a landmine sank the Britannic, the biggest loss of the war, and many battleships were sunk thanks to various naval battles. And that's about all I can physically come up with for this video. I hope you guys absolutely enjoyed this video, and you guys have a great day. Oh, hi Simba, how is it going? I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye!